Look, if you're running a family office or managing huge family wealth right now, you know the pain. The frustration of watching classic holdings, real estate, blue chip stocks, old school businesses start to feel like a cage. Your capital sits there, moving slower than it should, tied to legacy assets that don't feel alive anymore, while markets shift underneath your feet like a minefield. You're pissed off because everyone tells you to be patient, trust the cycle, but deep down, you see those returns flatline, your influence fade, and your family's future at risk. You feel stuck, like you're chained to a system built on old rules that don't work for the future you want to build. And the truth? It's that classic family holdings alone just won't cut it anymore. Not when innovation moves at the speed of light, when your next competitor or disruptor isn't just a company, it's a whole new kind of asset. Alternative assets, things like venture capital, private equity, crypto, art, collectibles, even direct stakes in startups or decentralized projects. These are where the real future wealth is born. Yet, most family offices treat these like risky distractions, something to tinker with on the side, not the core game changer they actually are. That's the biggest mistake you can make, and it's killing your edge faster than you realize. Here's what needs to happen, and it has to happen yesterday. Stop playing safe with only the old-school playbook. You're not here to keep the family wealth just okay. You're here to multiply it in ways that legacy assets simply can't touch. You must build a bridge between classic holdings and alternative assets, and do it aggressively. Don't just sprinkle 5% into alternatives, hoping for some excitement. Be bold. Rebalance your portfolio so that alternatives live at the core, driving innovation, growth, and importantly, control. Use your family office like a startup accelerator. You want direct access to founders, opportunities, early-stage deals. Stop outsourcing your future to funds and middlemen. Get in the trenches yourself. Learn the languages of crypto, NFTs, or whatever new asset is shaking markets today. Become a first mover, not a follower. And here's something most won't admit. You've been handed capital and fame, but you often lack the network and the mindset to match. Family offices aren't just vaults for money anymore. They're hubs for ideas, for connections that spark exponential growth. You must build partnerships with players who know alternative assets inside and out and who move silently, fast, and with conviction. Build your team not from traditional finance veterans only, but from actual operators who live and breathe these new assets every day. Otherwise, you're just watching from the sidelines as your wealth erodes in safe holdings. Now, this isn't easy because every system and tradition tells you not to do this. To trust paper assets, to avoid risk, to stay the course. But that's complacency. That's slow suicide. You have to be ruthless. Cut what no longer works. Double down where the future grows. Start identifying alternative assets that provide visibility and liquidity while still giving you an edge. Think beyond just crypto hype. Look into real assets, tokenized on chains, early-stage impact ventures, royalties on IP, or direct stakes in global disruptive technologies. And position your family office as an active creator, not a passive investor. Governance matters. Own decision-making, own opportunities. There's a power in alternatives you can't chase with classic holdings. It's time, speed, and the ability to pivot. The market's moving faster than ever. Owning a piece of a startup that might revolutionize energy, healthcare, or AI next year is worth way more than holding 50% of a slow-growing office building tied to outdated leases. Yes, alternatives carry risks, but the biggest risk is not taking them aggressively enough. The family office that waits is the family office that falls behind and eventually disappears. If you want to stop watching from a distance, if you define legacy as something alive, breathing, evolving, then alternative assets cannot be some side project. They have to be the engine, the heartbeat, the commitment of your family wealth. Do the hard work. Build the team that speaks alternative assets fluently. Demand transparency, active control, and strategic partnerships. Push every legacy asset to prove its worth. If it doesn't deliver growth or relevance, let it go. This is your moment to act. Not tomorrow, not next quarter. The future isn't what it used to be, and neither can your family office be. Alternative assets are not just a trend. They are the weapon, the shield, and the future-proof solution for those who refuse to settle for fading legacies. Take control now, or be ready to regret it later. That's the brutal truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit the featured link to discover more.